Imagine you are holding a heavy glass of water. If you hold it for a minute, it is no problem at all. If you hold it for an hour, your arm will begin to ache and feel numb. But if you try to hold it for an entire day, your arm will feel paralyzed and you will likely drop the glass in agony. The weight of the water never changed, but the longer you resisted the pull of gravity, the more you suffered. This is exactly what happens when we refuse to accept the reality of our lives. We think that by gripping our problems tightly and refusing to let them be what they are, we are somehow showing strength. We believe that if we just stay angry enough or disappointed enough, we can somehow force the world to change its mind. But acceptance is not about dropping the glass and giving up. It is about putting the glass down on a table so you can rest your arm and figure out what to do next. Most of us treat acceptance like a dirty word. We hear it and we think of a white flag waving over a battlefield. We think of a person sitting on a couch letting life pass them by because they have lost their spark. We have been taught from a very young age that winners never quit, and that if you do not like your situation, you should fight it until it breaks. But there is a massive difference between fighting a situation and fighting reality itself. When you fight a situation, you are taking action to change the future. When you fight reality, you are arguing with the past. You are screaming at a rainy sky because you wanted a sunny day. The sky does not care about your screams, and the only person getting wet and exhausted is you. Take the story of a man named Elias. Elias spent 10 years building a small business that he believed would be his legacy. He sacrificed sleep and missed his children's birthdays and poured every cent he had into a dream that felt indestructible. Then the world changed. A global shift in the economy happened, and within 6 months, his life's work was gone. Elias did not accept it. He spent his nights replaying every decision he made and wondering where he went wrong. He woke up every morning with a knot in his stomach and a voice in his head saying, "This should not be happening." He was in a state of total resistance. He was not just mourning his business, he was at war with the fact that it was gone. This resistance did not bring his business back. It only made him a ghost in his own home. He was physically there, but his mind was trapped in a timeline that no longer existed. The Stoics like Epictetus would say that Elias was suffering twice. The first suffering was the loss of the business, which was a fact of life. The second suffering was his refusal to accept that fact. Epictetus was born a slave and spent much of his life in physical pain, but he understood a secret that most of us miss. He said that we should make the best use of what is in our power and take the rest as it happens. He realized that your power does not live in the events outside of you, but in the way you choose to see them. When you stop arguing with reality, something inside you finally relaxes. It is like a gear that has been grinding against metal, finally finding its groove. Acceptance says, "This is what exists right now." It does not say this is what must always be. If you are standing in a room that is on fire, acceptance is not sitting down and letting the flames take you. Acceptance is admitting the room is on fire, so you can find the nearest exit. If you spend your time denying the fire or complaining that the fire is unfair, you will breathe in too much smoke before you ever reach the door. Clarity is the beginning of peace, and you cannot have clarity if you are blinded by the fog of resentment. Marcus Aurelius was the emperor of Rome and the most powerful man in the world, but he wrote to himself every day about the need for acceptance. He reminded himself that he had power over his mind and not outside events. He knew that if he could realize this, he would find a strength that no army could give him. Acceptance returns your power inward. It shifts your focus from the things you cannot change to the one thing you can, which is how you choose to meet the moment. Giving up is passive, and it closes you off from the world. Acceptance is active, and it opens you up to intelligent action. Think about how often we delay our own peace. We tell ourselves that we will feel calm once the divorce is final, or once the medical results come back, or once the bank account reaches a certain number. We are waiting for conditions to improve before we allow ourselves to breathe, but life rarely waits for everything to be perfect. If you wait for the storm to pass before you find peace, you will spend most of your life waiting. Acceptance allows peace to exist right alongside the difficulty. It allows you to breathe while things are still unresolved. It is not complacency, it is grounding. When you accept the present moment, you stop wasting energy wishing it were different, and that energy becomes available for resilience and choice. Seneca once wrote that a man who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary. Resistance is a giant amplifier for pain. It takes a natural disappointment and turns it into a lifelong tragedy. It takes a mistake and turns it into a permanent identity. Acceptance does not mean you stop striving for improvement. It means you stop punishing yourself for what has already happened. It means letting go of the illusion that you should have known better or acted differently or controlled outcomes that were never fully yours to begin with. So much of our internal noise comes from replaying moments that cannot be edited. We act like we are film editors trying to fix a movie that has already been released to theaters. Acceptance gently tells us that this moment is complete. You can learn from it, but you cannot live inside of it. Inner peace grows when you stop demanding guarantees from life. You can still pursue your goals and work toward change and set boundaries. You can still say no to things that do not serve you. Acceptance simply removes the emotional friction that clouds your judgment. It allows you to respond to a crisis rather than just reacting to it. When something painful happens, our first instinct is often rejection. We say this should not be happening, but that rejection is a trap. It delays the healing process and turns your pain into your entire personality. Acceptance allows for grief without a total collapse. It allows for disappointment without the poison of bitterness. It allows for uncertainty without the paralyzing grip of panic. This is why acceptance feels like such a massive relief. It does not fix the external problem immediately, but it stabilizes you enough to face anything. The Stoics practiced this not because their lives were easy, but because their lives were unpredictable and often brutal. They prepared their minds to meet reality as it arrived and not as they wished it to be. Accepting what is does not mean you agree with or that you think it is good. It just means you stop wasting your limited energy fighting facts. And from that grounded place, you gain a new kind of freedom. You gain the freedom to choose your next step, and the freedom to change what you can, and the freedom to endure what you must without losing your soul in the process. Acceptance also teaches us a quiet form of humility. It is not the kind of humility that makes you feel small, but the kind that aligns you with reality. You stop seeing every challenge as a personal attack from the universe and start seeing it as part of the human condition. You realize that you are not being singled out and you are not failing. You are simply living. Inner peace is not the absence of struggle. It is the absence of unnecessary resistance to that struggle. When you accept a difficult truth, it stops haunting you from the shadows. When you accept uncertainty, it loses its power to make you freeze. When you accept that everything is temporary, you begin to actually appreciate what is right in front of you. This does not make you a passive observer of your own life. It makes you steady. A steady person can endure a storm without being defined by the wind. A steady person can face a loss without losing their direction. A steady person can move forward without carrying a heavy backpack full of resentment. Acceptance is courage in its quietest and most honest form. It takes immense strength to stop arguing with reality. It takes wisdom to stop blaming yourself for things that were out of your hands. It takes maturity to look at your life and say, "This is where I am, and now I will move forward." You are anchored in the present moment, which is the only place where peace and action can exist at the same time. You do not accept because you are weak or because you have been defeated. You accept because you are done suffering more than is necessary. You are done holding the glass until your arm goes numb. And from that place of calm acknowledgement, you do not give up on your life. You finally meet it exactly as it is. And in that meeting, you find the power to change everything that is still within your reach.